Hello, and welcome to the Troyiverse. It is May 19th, Tuesday. Hope you all went out and voted. It is 93 degrees in Philly today. My lovely bald head is glistening with sweat. Oh my gosh. So, this might be a short one. Probably would have been a usual time, like an hour or something, hour and 45 or hour and a half, or like that, if I wanted to keep my AC running the whole time. But because of the fact that I want to make sure that I'm heard and I'm not fighting over like the ventilation system of my beautiful Nagi keeping me cool, I'm just gonna do a real subtle one. I'll see how it goes. I'll see how much I can endure in this in this section of it. Welcome to the Troyiverse. So it is 1:56 in the afternoon. Like I said, I hope you all went out and voted. I mailed in my ballot, so I've done that. I did that weeks ago. So, yeah, hopefully there's a great turnout, and with everything that's going on with all the southern districts of America, there will be a major turnout, even on the East Coast, for, a turnover from this party that's dominating all the seats and everything in all their respective places in the government, because they are definitely screwing up everything, which is historically accurate. That is usually the thing. Like, Republicans get into power and they destroy the economy, they fuck up everything. Then a Democrat comes in and they make shit better. However, or technically, when I say make shit better, they bring it back to the status quo of what the Republicans screwed up on. But at the same time, America still sucks. Hence why nobody enjoys either side of the parties. But remember, there are multiple parties out there besides Democrats and Republic. Like, I really wish people would do their research, do their due diligence to do their research, because, like, it's not that hard to, like, read up on candidates and see, oh, what policies are they? Not just blindly follow after a Republican or blindly follow after a Democrat because that's what they say they are. Look at, like, some independents. Look at some of the people in the Green Party. Look at some people in, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so many. Anyway, I hope you went out and voted. If not, then, that's your journey, that's your agenda. It is what it is. But, yeah, I'm gonna try not to talk about shitbox and the administration, even though it's still so much shit we could talk about with shitbox. I mean, the shit just keeps coming. Okay, alright, real quickly, just real fast. The fact that we've been known this fact, but we know now concretely that he is cooking the books so that he can make billions, if not trillions of dollars on the stock market by flooding the stock market with false information and or sporadic buying scenarios. So it's fucked up. It is literally what these pieces of shit do. They cheat and they rig the books and they try to use laws to enable them to be crooks and thieves. Hence why, what's his name, Michael whatever, is now petitioning for Congress people to be able to buy stocks themselves, buy and sell stocks themselves, because It's so funny. Like when I saw in the last episode, which hopefully y'all are all listening to today or sometime during this week. Like this is the greatest reality show in the galaxy because regardless of whatever, like it's hilarious that the dude got on camera and was like, what's his name, Mike Lynn, literally got on camera and was like, well, you understand, like your Congress people are, because of inflation, they're making about like 31% less than what they used to make back in the day. So we gotta like, fluff up their money because who's gonna want to run for Congress or these seats in the government if they're not really making money? I mean, they have to have two houses, people. They have to have their house in their state where they live in, and they gotta have a house in Washington. Like, why don't you people understand that inflation is ruining the livelihoods of the government officials? While literally gas prices, mind you, gas prices around my way, the gas station I go to is now at $4.53. Gas prices are $4.53. I'm about to go shopping. I'm not sure how much it's going to cost. Usually my shopping cost is around like $150, $180, depending on when I want to splurge on something else. But like I'm just looking to see how much it's going to cost now. But it's so funny because literally the American people are saying the same shit. Like, hey, we're fucking struggling and we don't make government like pensions or government fucking stipends of fucking cash. While the president, on the other hand, literally just said last week, I don't think about the American finances. I don't think about it. The only thing I can hear about when it comes to Iran is they don't get nukes, which they never had. They never had them. For the last, 6 to 8 years, all they kept saying was they could possibly get into the capacity of making them. And it's like, no, they couldn't, because they was being regulated. It's in all the documented files. They was under the agreement that President Obama had them signed, sealed, and delivered, and was like, yeah, y'all can't go over a certain type of levels when it comes down to dealing with, uranium and whatever chemical balances that you need to make a nuclear weapon. So they was being regulated. So all this fucking bullshit ass reminiscent Republican bullshit of just like how what's his name, Bush Jr. was like, oh no, we're looking for weapons of mass destruction. Did you find them? Nah, but we gonna keep looking. That's why we gonna keep fighting this war, to keep looking for it. If y'all ain't find it, y'all swept the goddamn. Matter of fact, good ass Spaceball reference. They combed the desert. They literally combed the desert and found nothing. The same way with this shit. Like, this is an imaginary fucking ghost in the fucking closet with the Republicans and shit. It's fucking bullshit. And while they searching for ghosts that aren't there, the American public is fucking getting demolished. Not unless you work for like the oil companies, because clearly Trump has the oil companies fucking petitioning contracts all over the world now so that we can sell American oil, while literally we need the oil from the Strait Amos. We need that oil. Clearly we need that oil. And it's ridiculous. They don't even have to, like, the American oil companies don't even have to like start up their contracts for years, honestly, if they don't want to. And even if it comes down to starting a contract, they still have to find places so they can actually drill and like find oil. They have to find the oil. We can't. It's not like it's just going to be like one point over here and start digging and then I'll find oil. Like, there's anyway, do your own research. Not to mention, Ebola is back. The virus of Ebola is back. It's in Africa. However, there are Americans over there in Africa that they are bringing back home that were in the contaminated area that had Ebola. And this is a new strain that has no cure and has no vaccines for it. And they're bringing them back to America just like they brought back the Americans that was infected with the Andes hantavirus, the Andes version, not the mouse or the rodent to human version, just the regular hantavirus, but the Andes hantavirus that goes from human to human transfer. That mutation. So that is out. Like it I haven't even been keeping up with that. Last time I heard, it was 2 people in Jersey, which was closest to Philly, and New York. There were some in Georgia, I believe. It's people already died from it outside of the couple that was on the cruise. Not to mention the other cruise that's not connected to the hantavirus that had the other fucking virus that was there that infected 116 people. Those people are coming back to America. So we have 3 different viruses that are occupying in the United States right now with infected people. So be careful, be safe, and just protect yourself as best as possible. However you cross those T's and dot those I's. So, what? Get it off that topic and going on to back to my healing journey of things I've learned growing up, in dating and life and in general and stuff like that. I think this is a good time to start going into my late 20s. So my late 20s, I was still being like a huge whore and just fucking as much and as many individuals that gave me consensual decree to allow me to enjoy their bodies the way I was enjoying their bodies. So it got to a point of, I wouldn't say boredom. It was more so I wanted to find someone that can share these experiences with. So basically, I just wanted to be in a point where when I grew old, I would have my companion next to me who also is older, same age as me or whatever like that, or 10 years younger, 10 years older, whatever. And we'd just be sitting in our rocking chairs, in the ripe old age of just elderly stuff, not to mention, not to mention, I'm always in a point or a position where I was literally I look forward to old age because my dream scenario when it gets for me being in elderly care of like that is being shipped off to an elderly care center or a nursing home of like that. I used to work at them. Now, I'm not saying they're great. I'm not saying this is awesome. I'm just saying that for my age and my generation, it's going to be a interesting thing because, one, we're all a gaming community basically. We grew up on video games. Not everybody in my age range, but pretty much a lot of us. We still enjoy playing games. We still have, the game systems. Some of us still have the game systems that we grew up with. So my dream scenario, of course, for getting old is living in an elderly care center. We get 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We can chill in the lounge room and watch TV, or chill in the game room and play, pool or whatever activities they got, or whatever like that. But then we also have our own individual rooms that we live in, and we have our TVs there, and we just got our game systems, and we could just rock out. Like, no work, no school, just us going back to how it used to be when we was like in our adolescent ages, and just being able to just sit in our room all day, run to the bathroom if need be, come back and just play video games all day long with no responsibility, and literally have other people take care of us. But like, that's what it comes down to. That's my dream and vision of elderly care type thing for myself. Now, don't get me wrong, before I get to that point of basically volunteering myself to go into a nursing home, like, it was going to be a thing of, would I have my own place, or as my current future is projecting, have my lounge chairs in front or next to my RV while sitting in the woods next to like a cabin or something like that I fucking created or fucking made or whatever, and just be there with my partner or my companions and just enjoying the life that we lived and the experiences that we had together. And it's not just a thing about me thinking back in my own mind and being like, oh, I remember that time I was with, ex-girlfriend, or remember this time when I was hanging out with one of my friends and we did yada yada yada. Like, I can think about the New York trip with me and one of my best friends when we just randomly went to New York. It was a random day we went to New York, and it was actually funny because we went to went to Center City. We got high, got drunk, and instead of just hanging out on this porch for that weekend, that Saturday, we was like, let's just go out to Center City and just like hang out like that. We went to Center City. Somehow, in the whole span of all of Center City, we ran into one of my ex-girlfriends. The one who started this whole venture off in the first place, honestly, was actually ironic. And she was with her friend, her best friend, and we was linked up, and we didn't know we didn't know we was going to meet each other. We just randomly ran into each other in Center City. We went to the Chinese food spot, ate some Chinese food, asked them what they was doing. They have no clue. They was just kind of doing it. Remember when we just go to Center City for no reason, just for the hell of it, just for shits and giggles, just to be like, hey, I don't have nothing else to do. Let's just go to Center City. I miss those days. But anyway, so yeah, they was like, they wasn't doing anything. We was like, we're not doing anything. My homie, he is originally from New York, so he was like, why don't we just go to New York? And first we was going to go to Greyhound, and Greyhound, of course, was like way too expensive. And then I can't remember I don't remember if it was him or if it was my ex or her friend, but somebody was like, yo, isn't a duck bus, doesn't that go to New York or something like that? Which was literally right around the corner from the Greyhound. And yeah, it was like $10 or something like that for like, I think it was like a round trip. It could have been a round trip, or it could have been a one-way trip. I can't remember, but it was affordable for us at the time. So we got a ticket on the duck bus, and we got on, like, we hopped in, and which is funny because it wasn't the duck bus, like the one that anybody thinking about, the aquatic, one where he drives on the street and it goes onto the river or like that. It was literally just called the duck bus for, I don't even know why, but it was. But anyway, but it took us out of New York, and I can't remember where. It was basically, we walked past the Twin Towers. We was on the other side of the Twin Towers, and we walked from past through the Twin Towers, or not through it, but like past the Twin Towers and the monument where the building stood, and then to Times Square. So if you're from New York and you're listening, and you know which direction that is, going past the Twin Towers to Times Square, that's the route we took. It was wild because this is after 9/11, so it was a thing where we just walked past and we did our thing, and we was just in New York, and my friend, he called up somebody he knew that lived in New York, so we all hung out, went to a bar, and we just kind of like relaxed and like had a couple of drinks and enjoyed our time and enjoyed he was out there the whole time. We was out there all night. We literally got to a point where we had to get to the bus stop to get the duck bus back to Philly, and I think it was the first bus that was leaving it was like 6 in the morning. So we literally stayed in New York overnight and just was walking the streets, like seeing the bars, went to like a porn store, look at porn and stuff like that. And it was just really cool. It was a really chill night. Literally, me and my best friend, I don't even know how we all split up. Like, I remember how we split up. It was literally his friend that he called brought another girl that she was friends with out with her, and me and my friend's cousin, who also was there. There's 5 of us all together. Me and his cousin was talking to her friend while he was talking to his friend, and my ex and her friend was talking to each other. They was getting bored because they wasn't getting attention, and so they started walking off. So we walked with them because we didn't feel responsible for them, but at the same time, I was like, I'm not trying to have her walking through the streets of New York and anything might happen to her. Like, I feel bad. So I got to a thing and got to a point where we was walking back, but somehow we all split up. I don't even remember how that happened. We all split up. We ended up getting to the duck bus at the same time because we was all on the same bus coming back to Philly. But me and my best friend at the time, we walked around the corner, and it was this wonderful experience where the sun was coming up over the buildings, and it was a playground, and it was a whole bunch of like elderly Asian people doing like Tai Chi in like the playground, and it was so surreal and so beautiful. Like, it was great. It was one of those experiences that you had to be there to like really encompass like all that happened, but at the same time it was just so beautiful. So it was stuff like that, like not just on like, of course, me being a whore, like not just being like all the sexual things and like the undertones of like these wonderful, amazing sexual experiences that I want to have with my companions and stuff like that, but it was like being in another similar experience of walking around a corner and seeing a whole group of elderly people doing like Tai Chi as the sun coming up, and just being like, not many people would see this the same way I was seeing it, and to even then look over to my best friend at the time and be like, to see the all in his eyes and be like, yeah, he experiencing his own like version of like all in wonder while watching this too and stuff like that. So it's just the experiences that I had, I just wanted to share it with those that I care about and be able to reminisce about those at any time. So that was always like my end game, if you will, when it comes down to finding companions and stuff like that. Just being able to share these deep connections with each other that that we experienced. And yeah, so, but the reason why I brought that up was because of the fact that when it came down to it in my 20s, I just started getting to a point where it was fun whoring around or having random outings and getting drinks and getting drunk somewhere, and then, by the grace of the divine, getting back home safely the next, either that night or the next morning, or somehow waking up and being home like that. But it was always a thing of, like, I wanted to share those experiences with somebody. Like, that was the crust of, my agenda. So it got to a point where I just started to look for my forever person, if you will. At the time, I was calling him my forever person. Now, I don't really believe in forever people anymore. I of course am still a romantic. I still yearn to see if that experience is ever going to come true, to ever finding somebody who is, let's say, evenly yoked with me or not. But when it comes down to it, I just, honestly, I was telling my friend this yesterday. Honestly, it was so interesting because I have been thinking about relationships a lot more recently, but not for the reasons that I used to. Now it's for reasons for, like, my daughter, honestly, because I want to have my daughter see a healthy relationship while she's growing up. Like, regardless of anything that I do for myself, like, I just want to make sure that she understands, that there are good relationships out there, and there's ways to navigate and cultivate relationships for the betterment of not just, like, your partner, but yourself, and not just for yourself but for your partner. So it's one of those things where I just want to break the generational curse and the generational cycles of this haphazard transactional attempt of relationships and love and out there. Like, when it comes down to it, I want her to be a realist, but I also want her to be able to be open to a real connection if she decides that she want to be in a relationship with one of her peers or somebody that, she's attracted to. But as long as she has a deeper understanding of saying, like, when it comes to relationships, it is a two-way street, and it's not just about making herself the point of the pedestal, as well as not putting anybody else on the point of the pedestal. But if there is going to be a pedestal, then they both need to be standing side by side with it, because it should be about them, enjoying their journey together and experiencing life together, and not trying to one up each other or to try to have some type of weird transactional experience with each other. But that's, like, my focus now. Like, honestly, if it comes down to it, it's just like, if I could just find somebody I could watch anime with that likes pancakes and, is open to communication and not being combative when it comes down to things that either one of us don't understand or don't know. And honestly, that's really that's like the long and short of it is, like, because I'm not really, like, I'm romantic, but I'm not in a mindset where I'm like, I want to get with anybody anymore. Like, there's so many, like, acrobatic holes that you gotta jump into, and then you gotta figure out if this person lying or not, and or if they showing their true selves, or they just showing you a representative of who they are when they, you first meet them, and then 5 months or 5 years down the line, and then their true face come out because they can't hold on to the facade of who they was pretending to be. I don't got time for that. Like, my peace is way too important, especially because like it's. Oh my goodness! I was on TikTok and I was looking at this post and it was this like confessional post. I can't remember the name of the creator who did it, but she was reading a story where basically this woman confessed that she ruined some dude's life just because of the fact that she seen that he was doing better in his life, and because he was doing better in his life, she tried to hit him up so that she could smash and get back with him. He said no, he was cool. She went and like completely lied and said all these like fucked up things about him, had his girlfriend break up with him, like he lost his job, he lost his house, he had to move back with his parents and stuff like that, and she was literally laughing about it. And she was like, I know he listens to these confessions, so I want to put it out there because I know he's going to hear it. It was all me. Because he had no clue that it was her who contacted his girlfriend and started all this rah-rah in the first place and all this other stuff that happened. And I was like, yo, this is why I'm choosing to stay single, because you never know the capacity of a person and what they're capable of doing. And I built myself up too much and to where I'm at from the last time somebody did something similar to me in that regard to like lose that all again. So yeah, like it's to a point where it might be on some Jeff Goldblum from Igby Jeff Goldblum character from Igby Goes Down, where it's like, yo man, I'm about to run a family like it's a business, and everybody got to sign a contract. Like, yo, for real. Because it's crazy, man. Like, or it's to a point where everything is going to be recorded on some, like, real rules type shit. Like, no second of the day will be not recorded and known to the world of what actually happened. Because all this he said, she said shit, where instantly, because you have a penis, you're automatically guilty. And just because you have ovaries, you're automatically believed, when literally, I still remember the days, which is still present, where women are literally like, I don't trust women. Like, I got a small circle of women because women are liars and blah, blah, blah. But somehow, believe all women. I don't get it. It is what it is. Like, I still remember the song Men Lie, Women Lie, and how that was a banger because it was honest shit, because it doesn't matter what you have between your legs, everybody's capable of lying. But now it's believe all, yeah. So it is what it is. Do with that what you will. But I'd rather just enjoy my peace and, my solitude as of right now, honestly. But when it gets to a point of me having my daughter back and me raising my daughter, the safety and security of our, like, home, then that would be a thing of looking to find a suitable companion so that I can help raise my daughter and show her that there are healthy types of relationships out there. So that's all I'm looking for. So when it comes down to it, I'm actually happy where it gets to a thing where, like, I'm going to be able to, like, hang out with my daughter and, like, regardless of, like, the companion, because before that even happens, that's not even like, oh, it has to happen, like, the day after I get my daughter. No, like, I'm looking forward to us having these trips to, like, different places to camp or go to different countries and, like see different types of cultures and understand and see different types of, like, situations that we can get into and we can enjoy ourselves in and stuff like that. Like, it's something that I'm looking forward to actually experiencing, and I can't wait to, like, have that happen again. Like, we didn't get to really go places and do stuff when we was originally like all together as a family. So to do this now in like the near future, it's exciting for me. I'm excited. Like I can't keep the smile off my face. It's funny because it was something that her mother and I planned for her and her brothers when we first all got, when we first, became a family or whatever like that. It was a thing where we wanted to go to, like, I wasn't enthusiastic about camping because I'm a germaphobe. And at that point, I didn't do my research because I was busy working and taking care of like the household chores and stuff like that, like washing the dishes, doing the laundry, making sure the house was clean, and if we was want to have guests come over to spend the weekend or for the day or whatever like that. Handling like the kids getting back and forth to school, and sometimes I would cook and stuff like that while maintaining like 2 jobs or whatever like that. But because even though she was a stay-at-home worker, she was a work-from-home individual. Like, she was not a good cook. Hence why a lot of times when I couldn't have the capacity from working 2 jobs and coming home and cooking stuff like that, it would be a thing where, thankfully, because of her being a tourist, she found me jobs that was in the food industry. So that's how I got into working at Pagliacci's Pizza, and also working for the professional chef who created his own business as a lunch provider for different schools around the Seattle district. So anytime it was leftover food from the day's batch of food that he created for the schools, he would give us as his employees the leftovers, and yada yada yada. And same thing with Pagliacci's. Any like pieces was discounted, and if there was ever type of like pizza where somebody ordered it and never showed up, we can grab it to be like, all right, we'll just take that, no cost to us or something like that, because it was already ordered, but nobody came for it. So it was like stuff like that would come in. So it was a wonderful thing where I didn't have to cook all the time, but sometimes I did. If I didn't feel like having pizza or having whatever leftovers was, usually we'll give it to the kids or like that, and probably like grab Wendy's. So most of the time when I was like calling friends or family members back home, a lot of them be like, "What you doing?" I was like, "I'm out grabbing some, takeout, yada yada yada," because she wasn't cooking at home, and I knew I would either have to get home and wash clothes, especially during the pandemic. When the pandemic first started going, that was another thing when I started working at Starbucks. When the pandemic happened, any time we went out and then came back in from the house, like, I would make sure all of us would like take off our outerwear clothes, shirts and pants, or like that, socks, because we wouldn't wear shoes in the house. So automatically we take our shoes off at the door. We would spray our shoes, the bottom of the soles with Lysol, and then we would take our clothes and put in the washing machine, wash them as soon as we get into the house. Make sure we wash our hands as soon as we get into the house, and then just get dressed in whatever our inside clothes was and just kind of relax. So it was always a thing of me constantly make sure I was doing laundry, make sure I was cleaning up the house after us, or like that, because we didn't want any type of like infestations and stuff coming in, because the apartment we lived in was a shit show type of construction. So it was basically the concrete that was the foundation of the house was concrete, and then it had a fucking um, just carpet over it basically. So it was, but then they had like a towel of like thin plank wood over certain other pieces or like that. But it was basically just, it was like a garage that like it was like a 2-story house that they turned into a 1-story apartment that had 2 layers to it. The back door was the front door to our apartment, and the front door to the other house was the front door to the upstairs apartment. And there was a garage that was set up, but they closed off the garage part, but that made a extra room partition where where the laundry and washer and dryer was in our unit. So, but that was that was we used to both use it. She used to use it for work when she used to do her readings for clients and stuff like that. But then she moved into the bedroom, moved her setup into the bedroom, and that's when it just was like she had the full reins of comfortability of just, if she wanted to lay down, she could lay down in the bed. If she didn't, she could start working, and even if she was on break, she could lay down, which I thought was great. I was like, yeah, find your luxury and find your comfort how you want. Because her dream always was, she wanted to be in that, like, if anybody remember that show American Gods, the first season, I never watched the second season after they fucking got rid of Orlando Bloom. The Egyptian goddess, God, I can't remember her name right now. That actress was beautiful, by the way. But the scene where they had her in all her glory of like lust and stuff like that, just sitting on a podium and just seeing everybody in like a sea of lust and like orgasmic thrill. That was basically my ex's dream. Like, she wanted to like lay and like on her bed and have a whole bunch of like admirers like masturbate and ejaculate to the sight of her while she was being enjoyed by me, and yada yada yada. But so her finding a position where she could be in a space of relaxation and luxury, I was happy for her. But when it came down to it, I was like, I knew she wasn't going to be cooking because she didn't like cooked meat. She didn't like cooked meats. Only thing she knew how to use a rice cooker, and she would make stews. That's why we had a crock pot, because she was like, if I could just get a stew pot, because she was like, I don't know how long you're supposed to cook meat, yada yada. And I was like, it's fine, I'll do the cooking and I'll make the stuff. So it was a thing where I was making a lot of the meals and stuff like that when I had the chance or had the time to, outside of working 2 jobs and doing all the household duties and stuff like that in the house. But which was fine with me because I was accustomed to doing that. Like, even growing up, like, I lived in a house full of cooks. They worked at nursing home facilities, so they was cooks. Some of them was cooks / managers. So I knew how to cook, as well as I had other family members who were bakers, and they made their cakes and their pies and stuff like that. So it was always someone in the kitchen doing stuff. Even when it came down to like my grandfather, like making like lobsters and crabs and stuff like that when I was younger, or like boiling like the boiled peanuts and stuff like that. Like, it was always somebody in the kitchen making something. So it was always a thing of it wasn't a gender thing about cooking. It was like, if you fucking hungry, go make some to eat. So I was always had an incentive of making something for myself, or even when it came down to like holidays like Mother's Day and stuff like that, I would usually do a thing where I would make a dinner for like my mom and myself, and or I would take us out to dinner or something like that. But usually I would do the thing where if it was the day before Mother's Day, I would take her out to dinner, because once again, I think I said this before, but I'll say it again if I did, and if not, here we go. It was a thing where I would go the day before holidays like Mother's Day or something like that, or whatever, because the staff wouldn't be bombarded, because everybody comes out on Mother's Day to take their moms out places like that. So it would be a thing where I would, and this is how everything worked out really well, because it would be a thing where we would go down to like Plymouth Meeting, and we would go to the restaurant right there, Plymouth Meeting Mall, and then after going to the restaurant, eating in a real chill, quiet atmosphere, because it's not all full up with everybody trying to come in for Mother's Day and like yada yada yada. And then afterwards, go to the movies and like whatever movie that I knew she'd be interested in seeing, take her to the movies and stuff like that. And that would be like her mom's day and stuff like that. Then it got to the point where I became more of a germaphobe, so I just was like, I don't really trust people's cooking. So I was like, I trust myself and trust my cooking ability. So I just started making meals and stuff like that. That's how it got to a point of me cooking. Then I got to a point of just like experimenting with new dishes and stuff like that for myself. Like I actually had when I used to work for my mom's pastor who passed away, in the grocery business. We went to one of our sites, and one of the guys, he was like from a down south area, stuff like that, but he lived in Philly, but he can't take the country out the country, man, like type shit. So he still went hunting, he still went fishing and stuff like that. But he found and killed a deer, and he like cured it and like cut it up and sections of meat and stuff like that. And he was like, I got too much meat. I got too much deer meat. It's not enough room in my fridge, so I'm actually giving out to people. Yada yada. So I was like, yeah, I'll take it. And I had like a bunch of like deer steak basically, and it was so good. Oh, so good. I marinated them in beer because I had to take out the gaminess of it and stuff like that. It was dope. Like it was tasty. I enjoyed it. Then that's when I think I paired it with, it was deer, and I also paired it with eggplant, like eggplant parmesan. And that was the first time I made eggplant parmesan too. So it was like deer meat, eggplant parmesan. It was delicious. It was to the point where before I got with my daughter's mom, it was another ex-partner of mine who lived in like the Norristown area of PA, with like that, and I used to like stay over her apartment all the time, and I used to make the meals for us all the time. It was really fun. It was great. She had a whole bunch of like appliances and stuff. Like she had a steamer, so it was to the point where I loved using it because I always loved making like steamed broccoli and steamed vegetables for us to eat while I was making other meals and stuff like that. I used to go ham when it came down to the different things of like meals I would make for her. And then not to mention, it's the first time I ate scrapple for breakfast because she liked scrapple, and I'm a breakfast person. Like that was like one of the first things I like learned how to make growing up was breakfast, and I love making pancakes, love making scrambled cheese eggs, love bacon and sauce and stuff like that. And I'll also enjoy French toast, but I'd rather do pancakes than French toast, and waffles is a last resort type thing. But it was to the point where she loves scrapple, so I like let me try it real fast, see how it is, and yada yada yada. Dude, you literally work. Sorry, I'm watching this dude in the cart who literally is a person who sweeps the area, throw a cup onto the road. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so yeah, I enjoy cooking. Honestly, it's so funny because I've been told so many times that I'm good enough to like work in like a restaurant and stuff like that. I just don't want to cook for money. Like I want to cook for people I love, like people I care about. Like I want them to enjoy like a really good hot meal. Well, if it's the meal supposed to be hot, I want them to enjoy it hot. If it's supposed to be like a chill, cold meal like that, I want like them to enjoy that way. But like, I just want them to enjoy their meals. I don't want to like monetize that version of pleasure for me of giving my loved ones something to eat. But which that's why I was like going back to my daughter and her mom and her brothers. Like I when I was able to make food for them, I enjoyed it. Like honestly, being a dad, being a father was like the best part of my life, like completely. Like it was incredible, and I'm looking forward to being in that state of mind again. Like I never left it, but to actually have the real tangible effects of being able to like raise my daughter and like be around her and hear her stories and hear how she's like perceiving reality around her, and you know, her opinions about stuff and her ideas and everything. It was great. Like it kept me going throughout all this time, and it's still keeping me going now. She's my Northstar. She's always been. She's my why. Even when it comes down to school, they like, well, why? You know, every school always say, remember your why. Why you're doing this? And she's my why. Like, I always wanted to make myself better so I could be the best version of myself, so that she can have somebody that she can, like, look up to and, you know, admire and say, you know, that's how people should, you know, walk in the world. And I look forward to that happening again. So, yeah. But how I got here to this position, honestly, was literally a point where me and the partner that lived in Norristown, after we broke up, well, she broke up with me after the whole fiasco I mentioned in one of our other podcasts, where she had gotten an illness from the germs that was on the fingers of my cousin's friend that was at the party, the New Year's party that we was at. Because she thought I gave it to her and I was cheating, she decided that she wanted us to break up. And, you know, fair, totally understandable. However, there was no communication. That's why I got to a point where I did not want to. I missed her, and I still do miss her, and I can actually get in contact with her anytime I want, and, you know, more than likely she'll return the favor and talk to me. But it's one of those things that after I got much more mature and older and stuff like that, I understand where she's coming from, but there was no communication involved when it happened to that. This is what she thought. She created a narrative, and because she created a narrative, that was the reality of that narrative. I don't need that type of stress or drama in my life, so that's why I was like, I'm looking for somebody who I can communicate with, who's open-minded. If we don't know what's going on, we can talk about it, figure it out. But when it comes down to somebody just instantly being like, this is who you are, and this is what's happening, and I'm not going to listen to anything else because my mind is made up, then that's good. I'm good on that. Because even with me, like I said in previous podcasts, like, if I don't know something, I want to be corrected. Like, or even if I think I know something and new data comes out to show me something different, then I'm going to take that new data and be like, all right, cool. Like, let me change my perspective of what this situation is, because now I have new data. So that's what I'm looking for when it comes. That's what I was looking for, like later on in life when it came down to it. But before then, I was just looking for somebody who obviously liked me and liked me for me, and not just a thing about liking me because of my appendage or because of what money they think they was going to get out of me or what they thought was going to elevate them in social standings or whatever like that. It was always a thing of, and that's always been something that's been in the forefront of my mind, because, and why I chose to not excel myself when it came down to gaining wealth and money, because I always wanted to find my person and then we grow together. But and because there was always that fear, is like, if I come in with wealth and come in with all this money and stuff like that, like, are they going to be there because they love me, or are they going to be there because they love what's in my wallet? And that was always my fear. That was always like when it comes down to it. And the older I get, the more and more I see, like, relationships are based in transactional situations. Now, it's always funny because when it was topics brought up when I was growing up, and it was always things about, like, women being on this, like, the defensive and being like, well, relationships are transactional. Y'all want pussy. Y'all want sex. And it always was funny to me, because it was never a thing about, even when the sex comes down to the play, my partners had a good time with it. So it was never a thing of me on some. It's so bad, because all I can think of is the scene from Addams Family where Fester is on top of what you call it, and that's all you see is him humping around and her just laying there. Like, that was never the situation that was, like, I experienced. Like, it was never a situation where it was like, because usually it's a thing where it's multiple positions being had and multiple orgasms being had as well. So it was just one of those things that when women was dealing with other dudes, they'll come to me and be like, oh, I never experienced something like that before, yada yada yada. And it was always funny to me, because I was like, after coitus is had with me, is never a situation where there's a bad bad sex Yelp review that happened. Like, there's always good things to say. Now, granted, I'm not saying that I know every person's body to the upteenth T, because we can always learn new moves and techniques and stuff like that, when it comes down to it, because everyone is an individual and everyone has different erogenous zones that they can, learn and explore and benefit from, especially benefit from telling their partners about. But at the same time, I know my way around, the controller, if you will. So, yeah, it was one of those things where even when it came down to the sex thing, it was like, yeah, my partners wanted to engage in coitus with me as much as I wanted to. Well, I want to say as much, because I was like a tier level down from being an nympho, basically. Like, it wasn't like a thing where I had to have sex every day, but it was like, I want to have sex every day. But it wasn't like me going into a horrible situation. It wasn't like an addiction, which category, the definition of addiction is the fact of doing something or engaging something that can either cause you harm or cause harm to others, and there's no self-control from stopping you from engaging in those actions. So it wasn't an addiction where I was going out and doing dangerous, nefarious shit to get what I needed to get. It was a thing where it was like, let me try this and see how it goes, and yada yada yada. If I feel safe, cool. If I don't, I'll leave. So totally different. So I was like a tear. I was a tear under the info. But when it came down to it, it was never a thing where I was up there like, let me like constantly ask for it. It got to the point, honestly, where I didn't even ask at all, and I would people would think I was cheating because of how much they know I enjoyed sex. But I was at the point where I was just like, it is like we've done this a lot, so unless you want to do some new creative things to it, like it is what it is. We can get to it when we get to it, or we could just sit here and watch a TV show or read a book together. Like, let's gain some more experiences outside the bedroom, so we can like have other experiences we can talk about and we can enjoy each other. Like, and it was weird because I don't know what it is when it comes down to different individuals and relationships, because it comes to a point where, and this is platonic relationships and non-platonic relationships, because like, case in point, it's always funny to me when people think they have the upper hand in something, and then when you like tell them no, that's not the case, then they get mad about the thing that they was trying to like have the upper hand on you for. And it's like, that's weird. So his case in point, this happened numerous times in my life, which is so funny because, like I just said, I am someone who enjoys like coitus. I enjoy it a lot, and I enjoy experiencing that with a multitude of other people if they're willing and give consent to enjoy it with me. However, as like I say, I think all people are attractive. I'm just not attracted to all people. So when people get this idea in their head where they're like, oh, Troy will fuck because Troy will fuck anything, it's like, nope, Troy will not fuck anything because I am not trying to fuck anything. But when it comes down to certain people and individuals, when they think or believe that I want to fuck them, and when they have this like pompous type attitude of being like, yeah, you'll never get this, and I'm like, oh no, I didn't want it. No, like, I hope I don't confuse you. No, I don't want to be involved with you in a sexual way at all. Then they'll get mad at me and be like, what do you mean? Because I thought you fucking, no, like, I'm not fucking anything and everything. I fuck the people I want to fuck, but it also comes down to the personality a lot of times. Like, it comes down to like seeing the person inner core. Like, when it comes down to me seeing like how people truly are, how people truly like interact with other people, like similar to how people on first dates pay attention to how their dates interact with waiters or waitresses and like that. Like, if you're a piece of shit to somebody who is just taking your order, then nah, I'm good. Like, we can enjoy our meal. Honestly, I can't enjoy my meal now because you was a piece of shit to the waiter or waitress, so now I'm afraid that they might have told the cooks to fuck it with our food. So now I'm like, no, I'm good. Hence why I'm like, I can't, I don't know what's going on back there. And I watched the movie Waiting. Like, I still love that movie, hands down. It's still one of the funniest movies I've ever fucking seen when it came down to like the service industry jobs. But like, for real though, it's true, it's real. Like, you don't fuck with people that handle your food, man. Nah, man, you just don't do that shit. So same rules apply with anything and everything. If you're not showing that you're a kind person to other people, like, my libido just fucking drops. Like, it's not there. So I remember that happened. Not that type of scenario, but I remember I was over a friend of mine's houses, one of my ex-friend's houses, and he lived in Dover, Delaware, and he was with his girlfriend at the time, and it was this other friend of his that was there, and apparently she was somebody who dabbled in enjoying coitus with a lot of different people. And I was there, and I was just spending like the week there with like that, just chilling. And we was watching High School of the Dead. I remember this like it was fucking yesterday, because we watched that thing like, I want to say like 3 times. I feel like we watched a whole series like 3 times back to back, because we watched it in like the English dub, then we watched it in the Japanese like original like audio, then we watched it again. I think in the English dub again. But like, we was sitting there, lights out, chilling. Him and his lady was on the couch. I was on the couch, on the same couch with their friend, and they was watching us to see if we was going to hook up. And the girl was like, "No, I don't. Not with him." I was like, "Oh, thank God," because I didn't want to fuck you either. And then she got mad at me. Was like, "What you mean you want to fuck me?" Like, no, God no. Like, no, I'm good. I was like, no, fair. Like, your breasts are lovely, but no, I would not touch you at all. No, and she like, and the thing is, it was like, you literally rebuked me already. So if I thought at that point we was both honestly just being honest with each other, and now we can just be friends because we both know coitus is not going to be the table for either of us. Thank God. So like, and it was so funny. But like, yeah, she I think she still hates me to this day. But it's like, for what? For agreeing with you that we're not going to have sex? Like, and it was so funny because even my friend was like, wait, what? He not trying to smash? It's like, no. That by that point, he see me like, God, how many people you see me have coitus with? At least like 3 or 4, I think. I want to say at least like 3 or 4. This is the same friend who would literally bring over his girlfriends to have them see me fully erect, like, which I'm a voyeur. I'm a voyeur / exhibitionist. I'm a Gemini. My grass is always green on both sides. So, like, I didn't have any problem obliging with, like, showing a new random, woman who clearly, is giving me consent to show them my penis. Like, showing them my penis. So, yeah. So, it was that. But, yeah, it was, that was that same friend. So, he knew that I would, how I dabbled in my sexual life type thing. So it was just funny as hell because he was even shocked, like, wait, what? So it's funny. But regardless of that, yeah, that situations like that happen so many more times than people expect when it comes down to like me, which is so funny because, again, it goes into the facet of a lot of, and this is my opinion about things that I experience and things I witness. I honestly feel like women are the biggest perpetrators of like visual appearance and like looks and stuff like that, because any and every time, like I said, I've been with any of my partners and I'll like introduce them to like people I've had sex with like that, like one of their usual responses is to be, well, I know I'm better looking than the partners you had because blah 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 blah. And it's like, well, I can't really agree with you or disagree, because when it comes down to it, I mean, it's about inner beauty as much as it's about outer beauty. So if you try to compare yourself to another person and try to say that you're better looking than they are, that makes your inner beauty like less substantial now, and it's kind of sucks. So it's really interesting and weird when it comes down to like the dynamics of that, because even when it comes down to it, a lot of the women partners I've been with been like, you know, is she prettier than me? Like, that's usually a question. Like, you know, they'll ask and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, I think they're attractive. Like, I don't know, because, like, you know, everyone has their own gauges of what is attractive and what's not attractive. So it's one of those type things. But yeah, like it's people are interesting. People have always been interesting. But regardless, going into it, I was with that partner who broke up with me. That was in Northstar, and I threw myself into work. Like, I threw myself into work, and I was working 2 jobs at that time too, because I wasn't doing anything else. I wasn't fucking anybody else. So it was one of those things where I was working at Whole Foods and I was working at this Christian sweatshop, which was fucking crazy. That this Christian sweatshop was a full-time 8-hour gig. Whole Foods was 4 hours. God, that was... It's funny because I kind of miss those days, but I'm so happy I no longer doing it. But like, yeah, I would hitch a ride with one of my cousin's exes, and we would go to the first 8-hour job, and he was a truck driver and delivery guy there, and I was a sorter. I would sort out all the clothes, and because it was a thrift store distributor, so it was a church who created a Goodwill type thing where people could donate their clothes, and then they created a storefront thrift store. All of this is on 309, by the way. I'm not sure if they're still open or not, but it was all on 309, by the way. So we would sort the clothes out, what was good, what was, you know, bad. We would go through all the pockets. We made so much fucking bank because, you know how many people die or just fucking throw clothes somewhere and like leave money in it, leave wallets in it. It was like, I remember one time we found like, I want it's like $700, and we split it up like that. But yeah, fucking dope. It was. I enjoyed working with the people that I was working with. It was a diverse crowd, like black, Hispanic, Asian, white, like of course white, but yeah, it was a great job. It was a great job. All different ages. It was like African. Actually, one of the Africans that I was talking about who was like, yeah, if you didn't know about Christianity, I would tell you because then you would know about Christianity and you would go to hell if you didn't submit to the Lord and Savior type shit. I was like, then you go to hell too because you can deliver people to hell, you asshole. So, but yeah, like I used to work there, and then after the 8-hour shift was over, I would go straight to Whole Foods and work there for 8 hours till closing, and then I will leave from there, and if you know, this is before Whole Foods left the parking lot that was at the 309 movie theater and moved to the other newer location, the bigger location. So I will walk from the 309 movie theater location to the mall, and then I would walk from that bus stop, because I would catch the bus from there, from that mall, and then the bus would take me to the Plymouth Meeting area. Like I want to say like not where Plymouth Meeting Mall is, but there's a strip mall that was like further down, going towards where the Jiffy Lube and everything is down that area, and like the wine and spirits and stuff like that area. So the bus would stop me like in that area, and I would have to walk from that strip mall down to Plymouth Meeting Mall, and then catch the L bus from the Plymouth Meeting Mall to my neighborhood, and then walk from there to my house or like that. So that's what I did for about a year and a half, basically. So, but while I was doing that, I was just making money until I was able to afford getting a car, and that's when I got a car, and I was, you know, balling out of control and everything like that. But my cousin actually was like, I've never seen, it was so crazy, which is so funny. He was like, I've never seen you this focused and not trying to just jump into anybody and everybody that you found attractive or you wanted to be involved with, yada yada yada. Basically, I basically was celibate. Basically, I was like, I'm not trying to fuck nobody, I'm not trying to talk to nobody, I'm just trying to make money, yada. Because I was hurt because the Norristown one who broke up with me, what she told me she broke up with me was my financial bearings. She was like, you're not making enough money, blah blah. Then I came to find out later that the next time I went and me and her started talking as friends or stuff like that. We smashed like once, but like we started talking as friends, and she was like, no, it's because of the fact that I came back with this, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh shit, that was because of X, Y, and Z. Because I always get tested. I always make sure I get tested, and that's what I'm dealing with. Anybody new, I make sure I get tested so I can show them that I'm clean and clear. And then after we have coitus, I get tested again to make sure they're clean and clear, and we're both cool. So it was to a point where I was showing my receipts of saying nope, during this time I was clean and clear, and I'm still clean and clear, yada yada yada. So I was like, what you got was from the germs from blah 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 blah, and everything was cleared up. But at the same time, the deed was already done. She already broke up with me. But the reason why she told me because she was like, you don't got a car and yada yada, you live at home, blah blah blah. And I was like, alright, cool. I want to get my shit fucking right and get a car. I want to move, get my own place, yada yada. And so that was my focus. So my cousin was like, I've never seen you this focused before, yada yada. And he was like, you high strung right now. You need to get some off like that. And he was like, you need to just go on was it? Not, I was about to say TikTok. Tinder. So you need to go on Tinder. Just go on Tinder. Like, that's all they do. They get on Tinder, they fuck and shit like that. It'll be great for you. I was like, I don't know about that, bro. Like, I'm doing my own thing. I'm just showing, trying to, get my money right and shit. But I started talking to my co-workers at Whole Foods about it. And he was like, yeah, like, I love Tinder. All I do is just swipe right on all of them. And it was funny. I was like, well, I'll try it. And then I did the swipe right thing, but I was also checking them on, reading their profiles. I was really legitimately looking at it like, all right, how it's supposed to be vetted and shit like that. So, seeing my daughter's mom and swipe right, and after a swipe right, I want to say a day or maybe a week went past. Time is a construct. And she replied back. We matched with like that. And then we just started kind of talking sporadically and stuff. And it wasn't until, because I think we matched in October, November, the end of October, beginning of November. And we sporadically text. And it wasn't until around Christmas, around December, where it started becoming more and more hey, what's going on, how you doing, type stuff. And that's when the ex from Northstar hit me up after a year of no contact, because holiday season always brings back nostalgia of the person that you was with last. So she was like, oh, you left your books over here and I don't know what you want me to do with them. I was like, for a whole year my books been over there, you ain't throw them away or nothing? He's like, no, I just, was holding on to them. I didn't want to be rude and throw away your books. So I was like, what do you want me to do? You want me to come over and get it? Nah. She was like, yeah, you come over and get it. So went over there. That's when we talked. She cried and she professed that she still cared about me. We ended up having coitus. And then we went back. Actually, no, that was in New Year's, I think. I would say that was after... Was it Christmas or was it New Year's? It was around the Christmas, New Year's time. But during New Year's was when my daughter's mom and I actually had a full-on conversation, because she wasn't doing anything for to celebrate the New Year's. I wasn't doing anything to celebrate the New Year's. So I was just like, let's play 20 questions or like that. And we started getting to know each other. Then we called each other on the phone, and we was on the phone till 4 in the morning. It was crazy. We started talking at like 10 or 11, like like 10 or 11 before New Year's. Rung in the New Year's together because it was to the point where my cousin, the same one who called me an idiot, she hit me up to say like, "What are you doing? Come over and celebrate New Year's with us." I went over there, but I went over there and I was still just texting and talking to my daughter's mom at the time, and over the phone, texting and stuff like that. Then after New Year's, after 12, I hop back in the car, and then we end up calling each other and talking to like 4 or something in the morning. And it was funny because her whole thing was she wanted to have us meet up, and I just got my check the last week, so all my bills and everything was already paid up, so I didn't have much money. So she was like, "I want us to meet up." I was like, "Well, we can meet up next week." She's like, "No, I don't got no free time until like the 5th or something like that." I was like, "Alright, well, alright, I think I got enough money to do it like that, so we could do it like that." So ended up, I think I had like $50 left in my account. So ended up driving down from Philly to Delaware, meeting up with her, picking her up, which was even fucking crazy because my phone died and my phone was fucked up because I didn't get a new phone yet, and all I was fucking doing was it kept dying on me. Like every time the charge wouldn't stay charged, basically. So I'm up here on my phone, fully charged, driving from Philly to Delaware, and then the thing dies on me. So I had to and I was almost at like her location. So I had to go. I found a restaurant. Went to the restaurant. I was like, "Listen, I'm sorry about it, y'all. Is it okay if I charge my phone in the corner? I'm not trying to cause any problems." Luckily, they was like, "Yeah, sure, it's fine." So I charged my phone. The phone comes back on. I'm texting her, be like, "Hey, listen, my phone is dying, and I need to charge it. So I'm gonna be here for a minute, charge my phone. But yeah, I believe I'm close." I was able to charge my phone after like a half an hour charging it. Charged my phone, got to her place, met up with her. We ended up going to the movies and going to go to dinner, and we enjoyed our company so much that we ended up having coitus in the car. She squirted all over my car. It was so funny. It was a good date. It was a good first date. And then we decided to keep going and keep dating, and I kept driving out to meet her in Delaware. Sometimes she would come out to Philly to see me and stuff like that. But we got into this rhythm of eating French onion soup. That was kind of our thing. We would go to different restaurants, and if they had French onion soup, we would eat it and test it out to see which was our favorite French onion soup. And it was one of our date things that we would do. It was actually really fun. Actually, I need to get some French onion soup now. I haven't had that in a while, actually. But yeah, it was actually really fun. It was cool. And we at that point we was both evenly killed. We was both equally yoked. It wasn't like that. It was just we enjoyed risque comedy. We both enjoyed each other's company. We enjoyed being foodies. We enjoyed coitus. And we had our own quirks, our own individual quirks that we both appreciated, at the time and stuff like that. And it was great. It was great. Then, of course, her mom tried to ruin it because she seen how well everything was going. So she tried to she introduced me to the boys way before she wanted to, way before she was comfortable, and honestly before I was comfortable. But I rolled with a bunch of it because I was like, I could kind of see a future with her, and I'm like, because it was funny because even when it came down to when I was talking to my coworkers at Whole Foods about it, I was like, I'm not particularly attracted to her physically, face wise, body wise. I'm not particularly attracted to her, but she holds a lot of the characteristics of a person I would want to be involved with, regardless of the body type, regardless of the facial type of that. I was like, we're she was the top runner out of all the people that I've been with in the past. Just people that I felt the most connected to. And it was just one of those type things where it was like it was almost the full package, except for the looks and stuff like that, personality wise and stuff like that. It was like almost a full package. And I felt comfortable. And it wasn't until, of course, years later when it got to a point where her trauma started to take a grander stage, and instead of it being a thing of us working through her trauma or her working through her trauma and me being able to support her where I can, she started to shut me out, and she started telling other people and bringing other people into scenarios and stuff that, you know, they had no bearings on, because they was only getting one half of the story of like situations that was going on in her life. And it was wild. So, case in point, it was a thing where we both agreed and we both decided that we weren't, when she got pregnant and when we moved to Seattle, and then we was staying at one of her friends' place, and then we got our own place and stuff like that. When it came to a point where I was going to go on maternity leave, because of the fact that at Whole Foods, you know, both genders get, you know, maternity, paternity leave, you know, during like pregnancies and stuff. So I had my 3 months. I was sitting there, you know, watching our daughter, making sure she was okay, feeding her, you know, changing her diapers, you know, burping her, you know, all the good stuff that it, you know, comes with, you know, parenthood and stuff like that, while she was in the back, you know, because she was a work from home, you know, employee, and she would be working as long as she could and get, you know, her quota and stuff like that. And I was still getting paid from Whole Foods, so I was still getting checks and stuff like that from there. But then it got to a point where I was like, alright, the 3 months is almost over, it's time to get back to work. You know, how are we going to delegate, you know, Lily being taken care of? Because regardless of anything, you're going to have to work while Lily is here. And, you know, because this is a 2-income household, 2-income apartment, so we have to make sure we keep this going. She brought up the idea that we could get a babysitter. I wasn't comfortable with that, because she works behind closed doors, and regardless of her working behind closed doors, it only takes a second for a baby to be harmed. Like, it doesn't take long, and I wasn't comfortable with her doing that because of the fact, or having someone that we don't know come in and take care of our daughter. One, because of the fact that we're going to have to pay this person to take care of our daughter. Secondly, we wouldn't know who this person is, and I wouldn't be able to trust them. It's going to be a hard fucking thing to be like, let me give my daughter, the most precious being in all of my existence, to a complete stranger to say, yeah, I trust you to take care of her. Nah. So it was to a point where, and also it was a thing where Lily's mom went outside to the world, and she was with our daughter and her sons, or like that, and their friend, or like that, and her son, and she's apparently some old white lady was touching all over Lily's face and like her hair and shit like that. And I was like, how the fuck did you let some old lady get close enough to our daughter to like touch over? She's like, I don't know what happened. We was talking and they was asking us for direction, and I turned around to say it's over there, and I looked back and she was touching her face. So I was like, you have no wherewithal of your surroundings. Like, you, first of all, no, like, regardless of wherever, whomever asks you directions, you always need to be accountable of our children. Like, what the fuck? So the fact of the matter was, I wasn't comfortable with her, even if it was somebody being in an apartment with her at the same time, her being in a whole different room, and then being like, I don't know what happened. Because the last thing I want to know, last thing I want to hear is our daughter being hurt or something happened to her, and then when I come to you to say what happened, because you are equally responsible for our daughter as I am, and you tell me I don't know, the fuck. So I was like, nah. So she was like, well, I'm making enough money so that I can cover what's going on now. And with the money you're getting for what you call it, that can be, a nest egg for us to be paying off bills, yada, yada, yada. In the future, if anything go down, she was like, so if it's okay with you, maybe it's a possibility you could stay, be a stay-at-home dad. And, hence like what I was saying before, the cooking, the cleaning, all the other, domestic things, I was cool with, because I've been doing that since I was a kid anyway. So I was like, are you sure? Are you sure you can handle that load? Because if you can't, then we'll figure something out. I'll still work and we'll figure something out. But if you can, then I don't see a problem with it. But I was like, however, let's talk to some other people about it. Let's, as a couple, as a family, come in and talk. Like, let's go to our parents. You talk to your mom, I talk to my mom. We'll do this together, and we'll have them. I think we actually had them on like speakerphone in a conference call type thing, and like it was one of those things. Like, they said their piece, they said how they felt about it, and then it was what it was, and we made our decision as adults of what we was going to do. And when it came down to it, we decided for me to stay home, and she, I'll be a stay-at-home dad, without pay, while I was raising our daughter and she was taking care of the bills and stuff like that. And then the second note of the reason why I talked about this is because of the fact that she couldn't handle the bills. She never told me she couldn't handle the bills. She went to her mom first and told her mom that she couldn't handle the bills. So her mom started giving her money to pay for the bills, which I had no idea about. She never came to me once. Every day I would ask her, hey, how work go? Like, how everything going? She's like, oh, it's fine. It was great. All right, cool. Then she went and started telling her friends about it. It was like, I can't handle the bills. I can't take the bills. Until one of her friends was like, you need to talk to your husband. Like, you need to talk to your dude and find out what's going on, what's happening, yada, yada, yada. And she finally came to me like 2-3 months in, after not being able to handle this and actually getting money support financially from her mom. And that's when she was like, this is how much we're in debt and how much we owe, and yada yada. And it was to the point where I was like, alright, cool, like, let's figure this out. We need to get in a position where we need X amount of dollars for this amount, because this is how much we spend in a month, and blah 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 blah. I'll start working again, and we can figure out what's going on with the whole thing with you taking care of Lily. Because if you're not making, because that was the thing about it, her clientele dried up right after she said she was able to handle it. So I was like, if your clientele dried up and you can no longer handle the pressure financially, I'll get 2 jobs, and then you'll just take care of Lily. And it was that type of situation where it was, she was taking care of Lily, she was trying to still get some like clientele back up, and I was working my 2 jobs, and that's when it became the situation. But then her clientele started to come up, but by that time she was actually accustomed to being able to like watch. Lily was older, she was able to be accustomed to watch Lily as well as work and stuff like that. She brought her her work area out into the living room, because it went from multiple places. First, it was in the back where it was with the laundry room it was and stuff like that, and our like smoke area. And then she moved their stuff into the living room, and she was out there, and she would be hanging out with Lily while Lily is watching TV or sleeping or whatever like that in the living room. And then it got to the point where she moved her stuff into the bedroom, and that's when she had her operation in the bedroom. But yeah, it became a thing where we just wasn't connecting anymore. And the more I would try to like dive in to find out what was going on with her mentally, it became a thing of like no communication. It was just her hiding stuff and keeping secrets about stuff, or telling other people things that just she wasn't telling me. And it started getting real, because it got to the point where I was like, if we're going to keep this relationship going, we have to be honest with each other, and that's regardless of like what feelings we think the other might have or not. It's about making sure our family is cool. And at first it was working, until it got to a point of resentments and stuff like that started coming out, and we would just start going at it with each other. And it was actually interesting, because I noticed this was also stuff that happened with a lot of different relationships. A lot of relationships have arguments and have fights and stuff like that, have disagreements and stuff. But the differences that I would see between these different relationships in my own was the fact that I was always open to have these communications and conversations to try to get to the bottom of it, to figure out what our situation or ways for us to like get past it and move to a better, greater plateau. And it was a thing where it would work, but then it wasn't working. It would be a thing where she would say it was like she understood, or that she had a better understanding, or that like she gave all of her understanding to me so I can understand better. And when she would give her recounts of how she felt and stuff like that, I could accept it. I'm like, all right, cool. What can I do to support? What can I do to help you feel more in tune or aligned with yourself? And she would give me these traits and tasks and these things, and I was like, all right, cool. Within my abilities, I will do these things. Luckily, it wasn't, for me, it didn't feel like it was that much of an ordeal, because I love being of service for the people I love. So if I can do stuff to make, my partners and stuff happy, I would do it. And I would, give my things about the things I was, looking forward to doing or want to do. And it would never be follow through. It would be a start, but then it would just fizzle out. Like, I always want to work out with my partners. Like, I love working out, but again, it goes down to the same thing when it comes down to like coitus and these experiences and stuff like that. I want to share experiences with the people I'm with and the people I care about. So when I work out, I don't want to just work out by myself. Like, I love the benefits of working out, but I want to have a journey of working out with people I'm with and my companions that I'm with, so like that. Even if it's a thing where, like, one of my other companions, my friend, the one I was talking to yesterday, they love doing yoga, and we had a whole setup because they live in the Georgia area, and of course I live in Philly, so we would Skype each other, and they would do naked yoga and let me watch, and I would just be with them while they're doing naked yoga, and we would talk, or we didn't have to talk. We could just be there and just know that our presence are both there for each other. I'll be playing a video game or watching a show or something like that, and they'll just be doing naked yoga. And it was great. Actually, we're going to start doing that. Oh crap! It's 3:34. I didn't realize it was going to be that late. But yeah, like we're actually looking to start re-administering that again, and start having her do naked yoga again, and I'm going to be watching as supportive of like that, because the company of it is the enjoyment factor of it when it comes down for both of us. So, and that's what it was. It was like, I was like, hey, I want us to work out. I want us to like get in shape and stuff like that. You know, get healthy because we have kids, and I want us to be here as long as possible for our kids, so we can like, you know, enjoy ourselves and stuff like that, and enjoy the all the memories and moments that, you know, with our kids of hiking and going traveling, the same stuff that she presented into the future of the dynamic of our family anyway. So I was like, we can't be overweight and trying to like do hikes. Like, nah, like I'm not going to be trying to do a 30-mile hike and sweating on the first mile. Like, I'm like, so I wanted us to work out. And also, I was already like a workout fanatic before we got together anyway, because all the stuff I was doing previously, like I said, to working 2 jobs, walking miles to get home, just to wake up the next day to do it all over again for like a span of like 6 days out of a 7-day week, basically. So it was just one of those things that where it was like, let's work out, let's do this, and we did for like, I want to say like 2 or 3 sessions, and then it was always something that came up for her that she couldn't do it, and then it became a thing where it was like I was going to do it alone, but then it was like I wanted to do this with my partner. I wanted to like grow and have experience with them, and you know, it just fizzled out. So it was just always situations like that going par on that. Like if I would ask for like certain type of things, then it would be, yeah, we could do it until we weren't doing it anymore. So that being said, that built more anxiety for me about trusting people, or wondering, is this their true colors they're showing me, or this is just the representative of who they are as of right now, and they're just saying it because it sounds good and it'll get me more entwined and closer to doing the things that they want to do. And when it comes to the things that I want to do, it could be like, yeah, maybe, or nah, not at all, or yada yada yada. And it becomes a thing where if this was me watering them, but me not being watered, and it just escalated from there. Like, it always just kind of like, it got to a point where I realized she didn't truly care about me when it came to the point where I had a real deep, like, emotional understanding of myself, of just realizing that I was depressed at the time. And because I was always say, since I was 8, I always had seasonal depression, and it was always a thing of when I was, you know, y'all, anybody is new, I happily recommend going back to the original, like, first, second, third podcast talking about my traumas when I was 8 years old. But like, ever since like then, I was like always in the point of like, you know, during Christmas and during my birthday and stuff like that, I just never felt wanted or cared for, yada yada yada. So I just would get seasonal depression. So after we had our daughter, and after, like, you know, I was sitting there, I was smoking weed, I was discussing the love of Wolverine and Jean Grey in the comic books, and I started thinking about it, and then I had this like epiphany. I was like, I keep saying I have seasonal depression when I should just take off the seasonal and just call it what it is. I have depression. And when I actually allowed myself that honesty to like call it what it is, I went out to her as my partner, and I was like, I want to talk to you real fast. And, you know, she was at a computer, and she stopped and turned around. I was like, I think I have depression. I think I'm suffering from depression. And her response, cool and calculated, and was like, okay, well, why don't you write down the things you're depressed about and then burn it? And I was like, okay. But then we, you know, after I burn it, we'll talk about it. She's like, no, you write it down and then burn it. I was like, are you going to read it? No, you just write it down and then you burn it. and then never think about it again. Mind you, this is the same individual that when she went through her traumatic experiences and stuff like that, like, for me, my support was going to talk to her and not even talk to her, but just listen to her. Just literally let her go and share as much as she was comfortable sharing and willing to share, and like sob and cry or laugh or like be sarcastic or just get out all and any emotions that she held revolving these situations, and being able to like allow me to be able to hold a space for her to allow herself to be completely open and free about the things that she was going for. I was hoping for that situation. I was hoping for that same type of reciprocation. And it came to a point where I even said, I was like, well, I would rather talk about it. I would rather as like have somebody who I can like share with and talk to. And she was like, oh, well, why don't you go talk to a therapist? Like, she completely removed herself from the whole dynamic of like being an equal partner in the same regards that I was being to her. And when she said it, I was like, okay, well, you know what? You're right. Like, there's no reason for me to, you know, force something onto you that you aren't willing to do or you're not capable of doing. So I'll see a therapist. And that was honestly when the first, like, I want to say dent in the armor happened when it came to our relationship, because I still was there, I still was present, and I still was like, maybe we can make this work. Like, maybe my depression is more of a catalyst of our deterioration relationship than I thought it was, and maybe that's what she's feeling, so let me go take care of myself, yada yada. And went to see a therapist and talked to a therapist, and me and the therapist actually got along swimmingly. Now, mind you, it was difficult for me to get into therapy because, one, trust issues. Two, no one was really asking me about my feelings and stuff like that in the first place. So the first time when I actually really was trying to give, you know, an adult experience of trying to share my emotions, I was shut down by the person who I was in love with at the time, who bore our child, you know, who is like the matriarch of the family. You know what I mean? Like, it was stunning. It was shocking. But thankfully, it was the therapist I actually ended up working with, lovely woman. Oh, it was so funny because she was Caucasian, and her first thing was literally being like, hey, if there's anything about race that's happening, let me know, and if you feel a certain type of way, if I do something wrong, let me know. She was so adamant of making sure I felt comfortable in a racial standing. It was so sweet of her. But I was like, no, I'm good. I'm here to just talk about, you know, my emotions, being depressed, yada yada yada. And we had a great amount of sessions. It wasn't until she, thankfully, and congratulations to her, and I hope her and her family are doing well, her and her husband had gotten pregnant. She was pregnant. So we had to end our sessions because she was pregnant, and it was bittersweet because I was happy for her, for, you know, continuing her life and, you know, going on the scale of where she wanted to go and bringing another human being into this world. But I was, you know, disappointed because I was losing out on somebody I built a genuine connection with. And it was nice. But yeah, it was very interesting, and it wasn't until it got to a point where it became less of a thing of us congratulating each other, myself and my daughter's mom, and it started feeling like it was a competition type thing. And then, because after I was going to therapy, and I actually was, I was doing the work. I was, I still am doing the work. It's always about learning and growing and, healing and everything, which is the whole point of this. But it got to the point where she decided that she wanted to go to a therapist too, but she didn't go to a therapist. She went to her friend who does counseling, and she just let him come over and sit in this car and talk to him for like a half an hour. And they just, I don't know what they talked about. It's none of my business. That was between them and their sessions. But it wasn't true therapy because this was her friend. She was not honest with her friend in the first place, because it comes down to it. There were things that she would tell me blatantly about her friend and their relationships and stuff like that. And when it came down to it, it would be, what it was? It was like, Real Housewives shit. It was like, oh yeah, we're friends and on paper, face to face, but when they were like behind closed doors, I want to talk about them. Like, this is the same type of like person who would go literally and be like, yeah, I have friends in the LGBTQ community, but I'll still go to Chick-fil-A because fuck that. I don't care if they hate gays or not. Like, I still want their chicken. And I'm like, alright. I mean, that's your stance. That's your prerogative. That's your journey. But, I mean, it's kind of disingenuous. Like, the same affront of, like, you're giving money to the same people who are trying to condemn people that you say you're friends with. And it was just like, alright, I'm going to go to Popeyes. Like, yeah, I'd rather go to Popeyes than Chick-fil-A. Yeah. So it used to be times where we used to go out shopping. We'd drop the kids off to school. We would have our days when I'd be off and she would take a day off or whatever, and we'll just go shopping or whatever like that. And she'd be like, alright, let's go to Chick-fil-A. I'm like, alright, you can go there. I'll stay up, but I'm going to go to another spot because I'm not going to, I'm not giving my money to them. That's bullshit. Same way when it was with I don't like advertising other people's stuff. Like, I don't wear Nikes. Like, I used to wear Timbs, but I don't wear Nikes because, Nike's a brand that, honestly, it still comes down to the fact that I'm still not sure if that's true or not, with the whole Timberland tree being like the tree where they used to hang, like, my ancestors and peers and kinfolk and stuff like that on. I don't know if that's true or not, but at the same time, it was just one of those things that, what was Timberland really doing for me? Like, Timberland wasn't doing shit for me. So it wasn't like I'm going to be repping them. Just like I wasn't wearing, like, polo shirts back in the day. Like, now, don't get me wrong, I used to get Guess jeans all the time back in the day, but that's when I was, like, really, really about fashionista stuff. Like, when I was, like, 16, 17, 18. But, like, after a while, I would just find, the brands of clothes that fit my aesthetic but wasn't promoting their own, like, things. Like, I wasn't wearing the Nikes with the Nike swoops. I wasn't wearing polo shirts with the polo, jockeys or like that. I would wear LaCroix jaws with the alligator or like that before I would wear the polo shirt. But it was, even when it came down to like how I would, demonstrate my individuality and stuff like that, I wouldn't put things on there to bring attention to me because it's not about me, it's about the movement. So it got to a point where I support all the fucking things when it came down to Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. But it wasn't going to be a thing where I was going to be wearing like sweaters and shirts and stuff like that if I'm not at a meeting, or if I'm not at a protest, or I'm not at a march or something like that. She knew this because, and the fact of the matter was, it came to the point of my anxiety because I was suffering from a slight agoraphobia where I didn't feel comfortable going out into the world, especially at the time it was in Seattle, because if you can look back, there, like, all across America, but there were more and more police shootings of just black individuals, and it was a lot going on in Seattle at the time, so I wasn't really trying to present any type of narrative to make myself look out of sorts so I could ask somebody yada yada yada. This woman brought me a face mask because this is during COVID, so we all we had to wear face masks. She brought me a face mask that had Black Lives Matter on it. Everybody else, her and the kids, had regular masks. She brought me with Black Lives Matter, mind you, while I was working at Starbucks. So it was to a point where, like, if they had a problem with it, I could have got fired. Thankfully, I had a black manager who didn't give a fuck. And because of my charisma, any of the white people who was coming in who had a problem with it, I would just fucking say something to make them feel stupid and, yada, 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 and keep it moving. But respectfully and professionally, But, like, yeah, it was just one of those things, like, I felt uncomfortable wearing it because of the fact that, like, yeah, my black life fucking matters, but at the same time, you pitting the fucking bullseye on my goddamn face to fucking show these white racist motherfuckers that my black life matter and shit. And it's like, I don't need that type of attention. I got a daughter at home. We got our sons there. Like, I'm already fucking annoyed and paranoid and shit like that walking out in Seattle and shit like that because it's a melting pot of just everybody there. And I don't want the attention. I never was one to want attention in almost any regard, honestly, except for, like, the attention of love and support here like that, which I wasn't getting either. So it was just one of those things where it was just like, more and more I started seeing little things of how she was trying to set me up and have me, like, fucked over in a way. But because of how I am and who I am, I was able to reverse and flip that energy and have it be something more positive and more suitable for my, standings. Because even after the situation happened, which I'll get in that in the next podcast, because this is totally running over than longer than I thought it was going to be. When I got I got another job because I lost my job because of her civil conspiracy that she created. They was like, you can't wear that Black Lives Matter mask, which funny, at the time the mask was like washed so much that, like, the words was like coming off of it, so you couldn't even see the Black Lives Matter anymore. But it was like, because the imprint was there, like, you can't wear that mask because it's political, yada yada, more racist white people shit. But I was like, it is what it is. Y'all got masks here, I'll wear a mask and I'll buy a mask later. And that's when I started working a warehouse job, which, honestly, once again, I totally understand why superheroes and villains work at warehouses. You really become a cog in a wheel. I said it before and I'll say it again. You become a cog in a wheel. Like, nobody cares. As long as the shit getting produced, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Like, just show up on time, get the work done, clock out, and go home. Nobody cares. Yeah, so great. Like, honestly, I wish I didn't have to move from Seattle when I did, because I enjoyed that job. I watched so much stuff on YouTube, and I learned so many things on YouTube because, like, it was an 8-hour gig, and I just was sitting there with my earphones on, listening to shit, watching shit while I was producing the attachment for the Rubbermaids for the phone devices or tablet devices and stuff like that. It was a great fucking job. It was really fun. I didn't talk to nobody. Didn't have to talk to nobody. Like, I became friends with some people and stuff like that. But yeah, I didn't really do much except for work and just kept my head down. It was a great job. It really was. I really enjoyed it. But I want to let it go. Let that be the end of this for now, and I'll get back into more stuff next week. Once again, I hope y'all all get out there and vote. Hope y'all have a good day, and try to stay as cool as possible in this crazy heat if you're in Philly or, tri-state area. Stay safe regardless of anything from all these different viruses that's coming back into the city or into the state. All right. Thank you for traversing this verse, and I'll talk to y'all next time. This has been a Troyiverse production.